So, I believe I'm on live. The mic is working, and I'm here. Had some power outages. I had one last week in the area, and I had another one this morning. And that took like, I think, about 30, 40 minutes to get back running with lights and everything. So, I'm here on now. At least I look a little better. I'm glad to be here today, and many of you will be joining me soon. If not, I'm going to give a shout out to all of you who normally come and join me. Holly Hermit, Hemmett, Holly Hermit, Holly Hemmett. I speak to that guy every day and I miss his name. Brother Holly Hemmett, Jackie Fillmore Antoine, Barbara Ewing, Samaria Woods, um, Indigo Moon. Who else comes on here? Julie has been here, and sometimes other people who I don't even know get to see this. But also, Linda comes on here, my friend Linda Garcia. So, I'm looking forward to seeing you on here today with a specific topic that I'm going to use, and I need to forward this out to one more person, and that's my friend Linda. So, one of the things we get to all do is we get to share and learn together. And this is something I always like to be able to put out there into the world and have many people join me. This is an opportunity to be here at least every Thursday, sharing this insight of metaphysical spiritual teachings through um, my Pacific channel, which is Clear Blue Radiance. Well, that's my channel name, and I'm here every Thursday, and I do it for the Clear Blue Radiance channel, but I do it on Resonant Essentials Esoteric School of Metaphysics channel on YouTube, which is Resonant Essentials on YouTube. So, whenever you are here, you can always, take a quick look or link at it and share it with other like-minded people. And so when I am on, and I know I can be heard, I'm on here live, and I'm always checking things out. This is a golden opportunity to be able to receive and share sort of at the same time. So I'm always welcoming comments in the chat room as they have here. Um, I've been a spiritual counselor for approximately 45 years, and but slowly finding my place, as they say. And the ability to find one's place in the world is not always easy. It's something that, we learn, those of us that are in our 70s, 60s, and 70s and 80s. It's quite a journey. Many people have experienced the hard knocks of life, and in doing so, it is never really easy for us to have that experience and being able to feel that we are a part of something. And all the time you are striving to be a part of the world. So I want to make sure it's going out there, being heard. And this is something that we find ourselves doing, being, and more or less becoming. And again, this is not always an easy task for any of us because we're striving to do something that's important. and I'm trying to see if I can hear it through my phone. It's through my phone. Yes, I can. That's a great thing. So I know I'm live. So today's topic is something that came to mind when I was teaching some of my other students online and doing some spiritual counseling. And today's topic is, yes, our words are powerful, but we must live the meanings of the words. So today's date is Thursday, October 24th, 2024. I'm usually here every Thursday at 1 p.m. or 1:15 p.m. or 1:30, whenever the internet allows it, out here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, in my area. And I always want to share some aspect of what I'm doing. It's important to feel that we are present, and it's also important to know that we can share insight with other people at any given time in our life. We could share our wisdoms, our teachings, and so occasionally I like to do that for different sources or platforms. Many of you know that I'm on TikTok. Reluctantly, I got up there because one of my younger nieces in Arizona suggested I should get on there. And that was way back in 2020 or, yeah, 2020. And she suggested, I think it was around 2021, that I should do it. And I got on and it kind of took off on its own. Well, this is Clear Blue Radiance. And this topic I feel is very, very important. This topic, in fact, is number 182. This is the 182nd episode. So I have this opportunity to share this wisdom with all of you. And by doing so, you have time to think about what I'm saying. All my topics, I try to keep them in a very simplistic manner. So I don't believe in using $10 million size words. I use the most simplest words as possible so that you can understand what I'm saying. And what we have come to realize in our life is that it is very important that we pay attention to how we speak to others. Now, words are spellbinding. Words can be descriptive and energetic in a sense that they can uplift ourselves and the people that we share the world with. Think of the people in your home. You know, there are many people who have lived in dysfunctional families and maybe still in them, especially children and women. Children and women are affected by negative words, body language of an oppressive person, a person who's manipulative, narcissistic, a person who's physically abusive. Women and children experience it in their homes. Sometimes they can tell by the way the person walks on their feet. Person might be leaning forward as they walk. This is like a person looking to produce some chaos. And of course, women and children have been on the end of that. There have been men too who've been on the end of that with aggressive partners, physically violent partners. So we do have to pay attention to how we speak to other people. And along with that, we have to realize words can be used to uplift someone or tear someone down. But here's the kick of it. We don't realize that often if we are tearing someone down, that energy reverberates out into the universe and comes back to ourselves. And then we experience the same thing. That's why it's good to try to speak highly of another person, to speak positive words about a person. If you can truly get there to do it because you will benefit from that. Someone will say the same to you. Someone may compliment the way you're dressed. They might like a particular hat that you're wearing, a particular blouse, sweater, or shirt, or shoes that you're wearing. And those compliments, those positive words, impact you, impact your emotions, what you hold inside about yourself. So we do have to be careful with the words that we speak. We have a thought or an idea, as we say, and it starts to trickle and run through our brain, and we're thinking about it and sometimes analyzing, and sometimes we're not. I know many times you've heard people say, if you have nothing good to say nothing at all. And we see that. I like to watch a lot of college football, and there's this professional retired Hall of Famer, professional football player, Deion Sanders, who grew up in Florida and then lives literally all over the country. He's a millionaire through just sports. But not only that, he creates products to sell. And here he is, the second year at the Colorado University up in Boulder, Colorado. He's brought millions of dollars into that city, into that university. He's helped students understand why they get these um, individual contracts. They call them NILs, NIL. And what it is, they get a chance to represent products and services. Now, people might hate on him and say, well, why is he doing that? Why is he letting these kids playing sports get that? Well, I remember growing up when I was like 8, 9, 10 years of age, there was a cereal called Wheaties, WHEI, no, WHEATIES. And what was Wheaties? It was a cereal, but usually on the front cover of that front of the box, they would put a picture of a professional player in sports. You wouldn't see any entertainers on the box. But after a while, in the 60s, they started putting, as far back as the 50s, I think, they started putting pictures of college amateur athletes on those boxes. Well, guess what? They didn't get paid for that. They would have them in their team shirts and clothes, sporting outfits. The student didn't get anything from it. The college that they represented got all the glory. And now colleges can attract students, athletes, student athletes, and students to their campus. Why? Because the student athlete can receive a nil. They're getting cars. They get to ride around in. They get contracts to drive cars, wear certain apparel on campus, wear certain jewelry, eyeglasses, sunglasses, caps, hats, you name it. The beauty of it is the college or these groups cannot misuse them anymore. And also because they're sporting these items, they get to feel what it's like if they ever became professional. Because when you become professional, you got Nike running after you, you got Adidas running after you, you got Ford dealership running. You got all of these things that want to companies that want to help these students and these professional athletes sell their products. Well, it's the same thing. Words can be used to describe you. Words can be used to describe or paint a picture of your environment. Words can be used to tell the world who you are. And this is very important because people need to know what's going on in their own life. Often, people, I've said this before, sometimes there are parents who grew up in dysfunctional families and they turn that energy out on their children. They curse at them. They call them names they have no business calling them. Why? Because the parent is frustrated, or the parent is a drug addict, or the parent is an alcoholic, or the parent is neither of those things, but has anger management problems. And they're dishing that out on their children. And if the children are young enough, that energy, that negative energy stays with them. And then they become that because that's all they know about themselves. So words are powerful. Words can be used to either influence a person in a good way or influence them in a negative way. And if the person believes in those negative descriptions about themselves and get their emotions involved, then what happens? That person becomes that which they now believe who they are because they don't have any other way. They don't see any other way to free themselves. We know those of us that grew up 40s and the 50s, we never saw children divorcing themselves in a court from their parents. You only started hearing about that in the 80s, in the 1980s. People started divorcing from their parents. Usually they were in their close to their teens and they were able to disassociate with the family because it's just too much. So, along with this process of these words is sometimes what we are experiencing about these words. We are often seeing something like body language. You parent those of you who are parents. Now, I'm not a parent, but I have a lot of nieces and nephews, and I see them with their friends growing up. And you can tell when they're being influenced by their friends because their body language says so. Droopy shoulders, their heads are down, they're dragging their feet when they walk. Many times you see them rocking back and forth on their heels, placing their weight on one side, one foot, and then the other, biting their nails. That's a good sign. Biting their nails. Why? Because they got bullies around them or someone in their life, in their circle of friends, being the bully to them. We see it all the time. And if you're good with the eye and you're present, you can stop it. You can get the other children to treat that child better. What's another way? The inflection or tone of a person's voice. Can you determine from the tone or inflection of the person's voice that they're actually speaking down to you? These are the things that we have to begin to understand how powerful our words can be. And this is essential to who we are throughout our lives. Women go through this all the time. Their mates, their spouses are talking down to them, talking with abusive words that are designed to what? Impact their emotions and the way they think. To make them what? Subservient. So they cannot speak up for themselves. Words can be very damaging. And we have to begin to pay attention. So those of you are in marriages and friendships and they're going well, please be careful how you're speaking. Watch the tone of your own voice. In fact, watch the thoughts that you have. What are your thoughts based on? Maybe someone at your job is bothering you. Maybe someone in your community is manipulative to you. Maybe there's a neighbor that doesn't even care to live next door to you, that lies on you. There's many people that are doing that now. They're calling up the police department and putting lies out there, and people are running into the police. And this happens all over the USA, even abroad. So we have to watch what we are saying. And this is whether a person is good, bad, or indifferent. need to pay attention. There's this phrase that we all know: what goes around comes around. That means that what you put out into the atmosphere, your words will find you. The emotional charge in the words are magnetic, and therefore will find you because you're the one that put them out there. But likewise, if you have children around you and you speak positive things into their life, what they begin to feel it. They begin to want to be that which you are speaking over them into their lives. Parents are whispering good things in both ears of the child while they're asleep, while they're holding the child, feeding the child, working with their children, reminding them that they are what? Good children, good people, and that they should have high self esteem. They should carry themselves well. This is definitely uh, a topic, something to mention, because many people, and I've experienced it, I remember this too. Many people have experienced a downside in their life that's still impacting where they are now in life. 30 years later, they have things from childhood, things from bad marriages, you name it, that is impacting their life, impacting their decisions about who they should have in their life, has made people very needy. So they think they got to save somebody. In essence, they must save themselves. So, yes, our words are powerful. Our words can be insightful. Our words can be a guidance for others. But one of the things that must happen first is we must live the meaning of the words. That's important. So we got to remember what we're saying. You're not going to take a word that's negative and apply it to something that's negative because you'll become that way. You don't want to live a negative experience. You don't want to live a negative relationship. Do you know sometimes you have to watch the establishments that you choose to go into, whether it's a bar, lounge, a hookup lounge where they smoke that thing, that pipe, whether it's a sports bar or a family restaurant or a place where you can get a buffet. I remember going to places and having to leave because I heard arguing happening in the kitchen area. And then look past the cashier or the waiter and say, okay, I can't eat here today. Because the cooks are angry with each other, cursing each other out, threatening to harm each other, which may not happen. But nonetheless, the frequency in their words is going where? Into the food that they are preparing. And this is why you can go someplace, eat a meal, even a dessert, even just have a cup of tea and some toast and walk out of there not feeling well. Why? Because the person preparing the food was very angry. And that is something that you don't want. You don't want angry energy in your food. Not even if you prepare the food, you don't want to put negative energy in the food because it affects everybody else that's the recipient of it. And we know everybody likes to have some eats, some desserts out when they go out. But now you got to be careful about where you're going out. And if the place is, as I would say, sane, are you eating at a place that's sane where there's no arguments? You got to, as they say, people say, choose your poison. No, choose your remedies. Choose places that are positive. Not only you don't want to just eat in a place that's spick and span, clean floors, clean bathrooms, clean silverware, dishes, you name it. Atmosphere has got to be clean. You can't be in a place where people are arguing, whether they're the customers arguing, trying to order food. A lot of that's happening too. But the people preparing the food. You know, people say, well, if it's hot food, okay, but it may not happen with a salad. Oh, yeah. It's on there. And guess what? When they bring the salad out and they put it in their salad tray, especially buffet, and they swirl it around, now the one or two leaves, three or four leaves that got the energy is now sharing that energy in the big salad pot. So, yes, the food that you are going to eat at a place where people are arguing are going to transfer energy into your body by way of food. You're going to feel nauseated. You're going to feel you got a headache, a numbing headache. You're going to feel drowsy. You might feel sick after a while. That's because people preparing the food aren't peaceful, aren't loving, aren't kind. And they're generating that feeling of emotions, negative emotions, into the thoughts, into their hands, into the food. They are radiating that energy that they're carrying all day with them. And they don't have to be angry at you. They might be angry with their spouse, their roommate, their sibling, their relative, their coworker, and the boss. And it's all going into the food. It is the same if you get on a bus or a subway or a train and you notice the person controlling it is angry, you may not want to be on there. Why? Because what they're generating is affecting you. And the most sensitive person gets affected by all of that and infected because you're sitting right there in the energy. So you want to be careful about how words are being used around you. You have to begin to realize that people have a certain pattern of behavior. And if that pattern of behavior has not changed, if a person's pattern of behavior has not changed, you should not be around that person because you need to be around people who treat you in positive ways. And you have to demonstrate it sometimes. You can't tolerate a lot of craziness coming to you. And some people, you're not going to be able to change how they feel about you. They may say, well, I hate you and I call you this and I call you that. Then what I suggest, train yourself to be like the front door and let it go out the back door. Let that negative energy pass through you that quick without infecting you. Learn to create that energetic shield around yourself through your aura and beyond your aura. So if you happen to be entrapped around people who are speaking negatively, acting negatively, you can go and come as you please, but it will not affect you. You won't have a headache. You won't have a stomach ache. You won't have a toothache. You won't have your throat being clogged. You won't have sinus congestion in your ears because the way people are acting out. This is why we have to be careful. And this is why call excuse me, today's title, Yes, Our Words Are Powerful, because they are. But we must live the meanings of the words. Do you know what the word means when you're using it? This is also being aware of the energy behind the word. And this is why, the late Reverend Ike used to say, learn how to use an affirmation. And people say, affirmations don't work. And I know a lot of people that say it, affirmations do not work. Well, they don't work if you don't work them. If you don't work the affirmation enough where you believe in the affirmation, where you trust every word that comes from yourself as being truth, being positive, healing words, energy. If you don't believe that for yourself, if you don't have faith in yourself doing that, then of course, words that you speak will not mean anything to anyone else listening to you. This is very important. So, what are the remedies? Well, of course, thinking positively, speaking positively, but also embodying the words. Understand the word and hold it inside yourself. And let your outer exterior hold on to the word. I was told once that everything is listening to you. Spirit of money listens to you, all your negativity and all your positivity. The cells in your body hear you and can feel you. And if you're not doing anything to change that outlook, it's not going to change because you're going to hold it and embed it in your own subconscious mind. So it is highly important that you pay strict attention to how you feel, to how you think, and what are you thinking about, and what are the words meaning to you. Are you speaking words that are positively describing a person's character? Now we all make mistakes. I've done it too. I've gotten so angry in the past, I just want to speak negativity over that person. But usually it hurts you faster than it hurts them because they do have some kind of emotional wall up, whether you know it or not. So you learn to correct yourself. You learn to speak with power for you. You boost your energy up. And when you do that, then you start paying attention to how words feel. As I say, people say affirmations don't work. If you don't understand how the affirmation works or what an affirmation is, then it's not going to work for you. Keep thinking about the late Reverend Ike would say, "You can't use with the stuff I use. You can't lose with the stuff I use." That's what he used to say. You can't lose with the stuff I use. Why? Because he consciously changed every word in the way that he spoke about himself, the way that he spoke into the lives of other people. He made those words positive, and that's how they became powerful because they were on a positive alignment. He created a picture in his mind of what he saw the person to be. That's like if you see a homeless person and you give them money, don't keep it in your mind that they're homeless. As you start to approach them, start to see the true inner being that they were, the innocent child that they were, man or woman. Start seeing when they were happy. You create that happy energy. Then you give them the money because then they're receiving that money in the auric field that's going to change, which then they begin to change. They begin to think differently, feel differently about themselves, and begin to feel differently about the outcome that's going on in their life. So, this is important. I know a lot of people get on certain platforms and they're preaching. I don't like to preach. I just try to share with you things that I've gone through in my own life. Why? Because that's more healing. When we hear a teaching from a person who has actually experienced or done something that's incorrect with the use of words, doesn't it make more sense to listen because that person has changed? That person changed the way they carry themselves out into the world. So it's very important. So, those of you that might be in the chat room right now, I know there's two of you watching, let me know that this makes sense to you today. And if you have children, maybe you get them to watch this later. Maybe there's something here that will help them become better in their own life. So you might be thinking, can you say some affirmations, Brother Francis? Well, sometimes in the beginning, I usually say, I affirm. And when you use an affirmation, you always pick something that you already know to be true. That way, you can feel the energy because you're speaking the truth about yourself. So I might say something in the beginning that builds my energy. I am a kind person. I am a person, a man who lives life with unconditional love, not just for myself, but I express it toward other people. I affirm and I know this is true about myself because I hear it. I hear good information coming back. Well, no, it doesn't. But here's the key for you, Indigo Moon. Now that you know something about your higher self, try to engage your energy through your higher self. And what will happen is you begin to speak the positiveness into your own life and you will receive it. See, when we speak in affirmation, and this is why I always say, use the words I affirm, because affirm means that what you're about to say is the truth about yourself or someone else or an environment. And you can say it joyfully. That's the hardest part, trying to say something about yourself in a joyful manner. So when you speak into your own life, the way that you can do it is get right in front of the mirror in your house. You might have a hallway mirror, you might have a bathroom mirror, but get right in front of the mirror and gaze upon yourself and speak as though you are the higher self speaking to yourself. And you can say simply something like this: I now affirm that you, say your own name, are well. I now affirm that you are a strong person. You have a strong will and you have greater confidence in yourself. And when you put some emotional energy behind it, you kind of wait and you can see the response reflected in the mirror. You sometimes you can see your aura flash up. You can notice that you look calm because you're hearing it and you're speaking to the reflection of yourself. And then once you do that enough times, several times a day, several times a week, every day when you get up, every day before you go somewhere, then what will begin to happen is you will change your outlook. Like Dr. Michael Bernard Beckler says, you will move up in altitude. You will change how you see yourself. And now you're no longer looking down on yourself, but you're looking up towards yourself. You can also imagine that you are already what you are saying. So let's say I go to school and I get really great grades. But what is the image that you would see? See yourself getting a diploma. See yourself getting a certificate. See people applauding for you, shaking your hand as they give you the certification or the diploma, the degree. You would see yourself being happy about yourself. Then you start feeling it. What does that feel like? When you say, I affirm that I am well, what does wellness feel like to you? It could mean more energy, more physical energy. It can mean that you carry yourself different. It means when you stand up, you don't have to stick your chest out, but you can stand up so that you're comfortable, shoulders are down, and your head up a little bit. Not so far back that people are looking up your nostrils, but up enough where you're looking right at them. We have to choose words and phrases that will impact our lives. So you can say something as simple as, I affirm here and now that I am living a better life today than I did yesterday. Now, that works because even if you're going through a difficult moment, you are what? Changing the frequency of the energy around you. And it's changing internally and it's impacting internally and it's impacting your auric field. And if you practice it in that way enough times, the auric field becomes what? Neutral and then magnetic. Now, what's going to happen? It's going to start like a vacuum cleaner, sucking up all the positive stuff that matches the vibration and bring it to you. Here's another way of saying an affirmation. Once you're comfortable with the affirmation, you just state what the principle or the target is, which involves yourself. You can just say, I am well, which is like on the verge of saying a decree. Because when I say a decree, I say, I see with my own eyes and in my inner eye, I see and decree. I speak something with no doubt in my sound in my voice. So, an affirmation is just a simplistic way of making or stating a decree. A decree is the absolute of the absolute, and there's no doubt in your mind that what you're saying is absolutely true. And you know when you speak it, it impacts something, someone else. That's why it's important for parents to speak positiveness around their children. Even if the child is having a difficult time with homework, speak positivity. And if the child can't receive it, you say it for them into the ethers around them. You sit there around them, near them, and you speak it quietly out into their life. Eventually, you will see a change. Why? Because you're planting a verbal seed that's carrying emotions and a mental image with it. And it's usually uplifting. And you will begin to see the shift. You'll begin to see the change with yourself. That's and look, it's all about learning anyway. There are some days when I've done this after 30 years, there's some days I might doubt myself. I might put something out there and go like, you sure you're gonna get that? But I've had it demonstrated already. I was seeking something that I needed to take care of something. And it was a bill. And I said, as I'm getting older, I just got to remember to remember. And so I said, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to get the money for this bill that I need to pay. Yesterday, I teach online. The class was fine. The person texted me, hey, can you give me a reading tomorrow? There you go. And what I got paid with, it took care of the bill. That's it. Now I got that one other bill I'm working on. But if that happened, like within 24 hours, 48 hours, that money that I need to take care of that bigger bill is going to come. And I'm going to welcome it and I'm going to take care of it, even if I do it in parts. But that's what we have to do. It's really trusting what we're saying works. If we can begin to trust in our own words and trust in our thoughts and trust in our feelings, then whatever we are speaking shall come true. That's why I call this, yes, our words are powerful, but we must live the meaning of the words. When you understand the words and the phrases, then you begin to understand the rhythm of your voice, the tone of your voice, the inflection behind the words, and most of all, you keep seeing the image. And you're not seeing the image too far away, you're seeing the outcome as it's happening now. You have to feel that it's now. And that's one of the most important things, to feel yourself speak the truth as now, not later, coming now. And this coincides with what I spoke about last week about, if you could jump a timeline, what would you create? We can create right now. I heard something that Dr. Michael Beckwith said on his show. I think it was called Take Back Your Mind. And it's on YouTube. He has the Pacific channel for it. Or you look up www.michaelbeckwith.com, and then you'll see it in there. But one of the things he said is before he gets out of his bed in the morning, he relaxes himself and he remains in bed. While he's lying in bed, he says something to this effect: I am a beautiful, energetic light being. I am an expression of divine law. I'm an expression of the divine mind of the universe. And my entire life is in my body and it's flourishing. It's multiplying. And it's multiplying in a good way. Now, this is not exactly what he is saying, but he is saying if you could say something like that, why? Because you're just waking up. You're still in alpha, a little higher up the ladder in the brainwave department of alpha before you're fully awake, because you get a chance to speak this word, describe this new life for that day, and it gets embedded in your subconscious mind. And then you start subtly seeking more positive ways to be in alignment and to be in attunement with yourself, with your higher self. And he says, if you do that, what will happen is what you also add, you say, I'm creating a new timeline. So that blew my mind because I'm thinking, okay, we got all these timelines, millions of them, where you are living successful. You're a successful person. So what he is saying is, hey, don't worry about the other billion, million timelines. Create one now. Create it right now as you speak it into existence. As you write it down, speak it, you're creating it in that moment called now. Just like Eckhart Tolle's book, Be Here Now, or Be Now, or Now. Uh, what was the other guy that passed away? Ram Dass, he wrote one too. Be Here Now. You're seeing it as it's happening right now. You're not thinking it's happening tomorrow or that it happened yesterday or it's going to happen in 24 hours. No, you're talking about it happening right now. So I affirm here and now that I have achieved, because you don't want to say I am achieving. You're going to say that in this new timeline, I have already achieved great success and I will do more in more positive ways, and I'll become more self sufficient, and I'll be able to do it in effortless manners. That means it'll just flow. And that's what you want. You want things to flow. Do you have a question before I close out? I know there's two other people on listening with you. If you have a question, just place it in the chat. If not, the youthful side of me is going to sign out. But today's topic again was, and let me pull it up for myself. Today's topic was, yes, our words are powerful, but we must live the meanings of the words. So that means we have to choose a word that makes sense. We shouldn't be using words that we do not understand. It's important that we understand what we are saying. I was just telling someone, one of my older clients, longtime friend, she wanted to know, she said, Brother Francis, can I make a living as a speaker? I said, yes, you can. But you have to convince yourself that you can. And then you also have to, before, while you're busy convincing yourself that you can, you have to remind yourself that you're worthy to receive and that you're a good person living in your heart. You have good words to say, good experiences. Because everybody that speaks, some people don't have experiences. In fact, they don't share their experiences. They might pull from someone else's. And if you're a good person in the audience, you might think, well, they're talking about someone else, but I want to know how they got to where they are today. How did they get this much courage to talk to 200 people, 400 people, 500 people, 1,000 people? How did they get here? And now they talking to 2,000 people. How did they get to that point? It's just like exercising. You have to exercise. It's just like you want to tone the body, change the body. There's certain exercises you have to do to make the body more what? Limber and flexible. Then you can strengthen the body along the way. It is the same thing when we are speaking these words. Now, how do the words become powerful? It is you. If you are powerful, if you speak with conviction, as they say, you speak with strength and confidence and faith and trust in what you're saying is the absolute truth. That's where the power comes in. Why? Because you're pulling from the force of the universe, which is spirit, through you into the world. That's how it has to be. Now, some people may say, well, that doesn't make sense and that never works. Well, it never works if you're listening to them because their emotions are there. And in their emotions, the emotions have decided that emotional body to hang on to what did not work out in the past. So we have to be aware of the past, but don't wallow in the past. Don't wallow in the hurt or the pain. Get ready to move forward, to take a leap forward. And you're not doing this to prove anything to anyone else other than yourself. That's who you have to prove it to. So on that note, I'm gonna say thank you, Indigo Moon, and whoever else is in here. I tried to call forth everybody's name ahead of time, so if you play this back, you'll see I mentioned your name. So everybody has been a regular. Thank you for being supportive here, and I just this is the third clip, part three that's up on my TikTok, but it's not TikTok live. It's pre-recorded, so I can add it. So again, thank you for your time following me. Today is Thursday, October 24th, 2024. And I'm just having a great time. I'm feeling better. Just found out elder friend. I had to talk to her for 3 hours. It was 3:30 in the morning for me and 6:30 for her, but she was in the hospital and she suffered some blood clots, one or two, one in each lung. But fortunately for her, it all can be corrected over the next couple of months as long as she follows a protocol. And she was there already 24 hours. And the splendid thing about it is she gets to go home today. She's out in North Carolina. She can sign out today at 3 o'clock, or she can sign out tomorrow. I think she's going to sign out in the morning because, as she says, she needs the downtime from family, because she receives so much experience, so much, and does so much. Well, take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful rest of your day, a wonderful tomorrow, a splendid weekend, and be good to yourself. Remember that divine grace is a blessing as we're alive and well in the age of remembrance, as my grace is your grace. And if you need any help on this topic, just come back and replay this. And if you have a question, just email me at iam.circleofgrace1 at gmail.com. Again, iam.circleofgrace with the number one at the end at gmail.com. Take care now, and thanks for tuning in today live.